You guys ready? Are we doing this?
Do it. Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. Has anyone heard of StarShot? Everyone heard of StarShot? Okay. Who wants to tell me about StarShot before I tell you about StarShot?
This seems like maybe you didn't prepare.
I did not. I actually took their presentation, and I am just going to walk you through their presentation, which is. You want to stand next to me and talk about Star? It's actually they've done a great job about the about StarShot. I'm just going to walk you through it. Yes. Okay.
My interpretation is that blocks and paragraphs have a lot of overlap, but do things differently enough that the goal is to take the things that blocks currently don't do, that paragraphs do, and make one.
It's very close.
One editing.
Okay, it's very close, but it's different.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll tell you how it's very different. So anybody else know about StarShot? You guys want to take a guess about StarShot?
It's a way that non-coders can build sites quickly and get them deployed.
Exactly, 100%. Well, yes, very different than Drupal.
Yes,
okay, so yeah, so okay, so I'm going to walk you through this. You guys know about Wix, right? Like Wix website builder and Squarespace and things like that, right? Like they do a good job. Yeah, they Webflow and things like that. They do a good job at building websites, and novice users can go in and build websites. Well, what we want to do is make something like that using Drupal. Okay, so that's StarShot. So I'll walk you through it. So hello, my name is Sal. Here's all my handles. You can reach me. If you want to try out StarShot, just go to drupalforge.org, and you can actually spin up a version of StarShot in about 3 to 5 minutes, and you can play with it. You'll get a cloud dev environment. You'll get the login. You'll get VS Code, and so on. Okay, so you can actually install modules. You can try out the project browser, automatic updates, all the things that it's known for. So, okay, so I took this presentation. This is StarShot's marketing presentation, open source presentation, and I would encourage you, if you guys want to talk about StarShot, just take their presentation and go with it. Yeah, that's what I did. So we've been trying to make Drupal easier to use. And if you look at expert users like Drupal, and you look at negative and positive, on the positive side, like as you get to the expert user, more and more people use Drupal, and beginners, they don't use Drupal, right? So this is kind of like, this has been the pattern over the years as well, right? So what we want to do is change things around. So what's preventing us? Most sites need some sort of extensions, and significant experience is required. Core is slow to change, and Drupal is targeted at developers, and that's been the history of Drupal itself. So what we want to do is enter StarShot. What if there was something in the middle? It's like you can have a version for site builders that's ready to go. You can go in there, you can pick a few things, and you can start with it. And not just that, that's just the starting experience. But there's also been talk about, well, what do you do after you start with it and you build something, right? What do you do with it afterwards? How do you host it? So there's a whole ecosystem that we're discussing, like, what do you do after it's done, right? And are people going to be paying $50, $100, $150 a month to host it? No, right? So what are you going to do after the sites are built? So there has to be some other options as to like, can we deploy it to some generic hosting companies? These sites that people can build really quickly. So those discussions are happening as well. So StarShot vision, site builders without Drupal experience can easily build and launch open source Drupal sites. Okay, so that is the core vision of StarShot. And then this is the Drupal CMS. You have the core CMS and core, and getting started with Drupal, basically the easy version and the regular version. Focus areas, you have installation, improve the discovery and installation experience. Basically, what do you want to pick, and how do you want to install it? How do you want to get going? Make all of that very easy, simple, point and click. Okay, and just a few clicks, you should be able to launch the site, and that's it. And the timeline for this is 8 months, not 8 years. Yeah. So bottom line mission statement, StarShot is a fast-moving open source product that enables site builders without Drupal experience to easily build and launch new Drupal sites and extend it with prepackaged recipes. I'm going to underline recipes because we can talk about recipes a little later. Okay? All using only their browser. Okay? So no local dev environments, no other stuff, just get it up and running and you're done. Unlike Drupal core, it will guide site builders to install recipes for common best practices and state-of-the-art innovations that are fast and easy to set up thanks to smart defaults and minimum setups or steps. The Drupal CMS will focus on getting people from install to launch really fast and bringing new people and contributors into Drupal and the open web. Yeah. So recipes is a new concept, and that means you'll take themes, you'll take modules, you'll take configurations, you'll put it all together, and you'll say, okay, this is a recipe for a lawyer site or a doctor site or a realtor site or whatever it is, and it's all built together. You don't update it; doesn't get updated automatically. If you want to update it, you update it manually, or you can push. I guess you can push updates to it. But it's essentially it's built by developers, but it's one-click deployment, and it'll start up a site with all the essentials in it, pre-built, everything ready to go. So
you don't have to update it from the recipe.
It attaches at that point.
Yeah.
Once you install it, it attaches.
Right.
Like type, and there's no code as well, so it's kind of like features minus. There's no actual like business logic or code.
oh, there is business logic and code and things like that built into it.
Plug in all.
Right.
You can tell it to like install certain permissions if they don't exist, like ensure exist, like stuff like that. But then you can't have like PHP classes.
Yeah, I mean it's a step further than just using config exports in the
Like bundles of config exports.
But it's not really fair to say that this is new. This is like our 10th attempt to do the same thing.
Right.
Even as a term existed back in the Drush days, that we just reused it for lack of running out of words. So yeah, the idea of recipes has been tried many times.
You could do it at a feature level as well, which I think there's a huge a huge opportunity for, like, features kind of did the same thing, except for you and that feature and it's, this will be like, if I want to like add an events calendar and I have an event content type and maybe a block and view modes and things like that, you can bundle that functionality and just install it on the site. That makes sense. So there's versions of this. I think the approach they're taking has its very, very, it has a different approach that I think sets it up for success maybe better than past versions, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah, we tried doing this in Drupal 5.
right.
It didn't work.
Feature server.
But that doesn't mean that this isn't going to work.
It's because they had to get, like, config validation was a big milestone to make this possible. And so they've been a lot of work there that made the rest of the stuff.
I mean, if we can get this off the ground, it could be really, really good.
Right. Yeah, so one thing that's different about this compared to install profiles and features is that recipes are more like Ansible playbooks in that the recipe itself does not have to be GPL. So
The recipe itself doesn't have to be GPL.
yeah, it's not a derivative PHP form.
This is interesting. This is really interesting. From a licensing perspective, this is one of the most interesting things that I've heard is that people can actually create recipes, then they can sell it as well.
Right.
But
So-
we can sell themes as well.
Oh, sure.
Kinds of things that we can
You
sell.
Right.
Exactly. But with the themes, the issue was always that at a certain point, the distribution clause kicks in. So if you're building sites and modules for an individual client, then you can give them that work as a work for hire.
Sure.
You can keep things locked up in SaaS. That is also okay. But as soon as you try to allow people to run things on their own environment at scale, then you start running into limitations in your business model to be able to do that. So recipes are specifically designed the way they're structured so that the GPL requirements are not triggered. Because we're at the point now, we're giving everything away for free and making our money on hosting isn't a really viable
No,
business
it's not
model.
scalable.
And so that's why looking at how Salesforce does things, looking at how other groups are making money off of selling supported time-saving value in code, is whether it'll work or not. We'll see.
Yeah. The other thing I found interesting was that in StarShot, and we'll get to it as well, but it has certain components that are built in, like auto updates and things like that. So when people install it on even like cheap hosting or something, it'll keep itself updated. So that is very interesting. Okay, so what is StarShot? So it's got the Drupal core automatic update project browser, allows you to select different, like whatever you want to install, you can install it right there. I mean, I think this is similar to what WordPress has, right? And then recipes, like pre-configured collection of things you can install. An experience builder, which is still in work in progress, still being developed, right? So that all comes together as StarShot.
Sort of what they're thinking, what they're still working through.
Right.
Just like foundational stuff, like how to store data objects.
Yeah. Okay, automatic updates. I don't know if anybody knows Ted Bowman's working on that. He's been working on it for years now. I guess it's ready. It's working. Says would be Drupal package UI, package manager component is key installing. Package manager on the back end is the one that actually tracks to see if there's any malware in it. Am I correct? You guys know about that? Yeah. All right. So I think it's so it internally it creates a staging copy of the site and then runs stuff and then copies it over and makes sure that the site is running correctly. So very well packaged.
So it's still using Composer.
Right. Yes. Project browser makes it easy to find projects. With a UI, and you can like point and click and install packages. So let me see what it says. Contributes to making project information cleaner. Does not configuring modules. Finding the right project. Okay, so project browser is essentially a UI that you can use to browse for different components that you can use to install. So that's pre-integrated, and then recipes is automated site building steps that are applied to a site. New in Drupal 10.3, can install modules, themes, import configuration, perform configuration actions. Does not have its own code or its own upgrades. So if you look at installation, and here's a quick chart on installation profile / distribution, which locked you in. And then recipes allows for inheritance and composability and does not lock you in. So a very flexible architecture with recipes. Let me see. Select a site template. You can have a blank canvas, corporate site, magazine, and so on and so forth. So you can have multiple templates. You can have, this is like recipes. And then what do you want? What components you want? You want a landing page. You want to have publish items. You want to have listing of projects and so on. And then you can install that. So this is kind of a mock-up workflow of how things would, these are like pre-configured recipes of how things you would configure your site.
Would you still interact with StarShot configuration-wise? How does the configurations work? I mean, in Drupal now we have to account for configuration changes and we have to code. How is that done in StarShot?
I don't.
Do you still have to?
When you import the recipe, it's just pulling all that config into your config, into your cache, right? And you export it, and it just acts as you would traditionally with your config. So yeah, it's just a way to validate, make sure there's no conflicts around pulling that config into your current. Okay.
Yeah, as far as I know, nothing changes in the background. Like if you're a developer, you can actually go in and do whatever you need to do as well. But this just makes things easier for site builders. And then essentially, once you're past, adding your recipes, then you can go in here. You can extend Drupal. You can do other things if you wanted to. So.
I'm following the recipes. There's currently no UI for the recipes.
No, there's not, and that'll be always off.
Yeah.
I made like a simple test, and I made something that lets you extract blocks from fields. And the UI is going to be very challenging because trying to navigate what those relationships mean between files, like the dependencies are there, but what is the dependency for? Is it important to what your recipe is, and is it part of like an action, or is it part of like natural config file you pull in? So I think that's going to be a ways off.
Yeah.
It's a good space though if people are interested to like prod around because it makes a big difference.
So the similarities between the old Rush recipes and is really similar in that it essentially kickstarts your config, but once it's been created as config, it's managed the same way. So I'm old enough to remember the old DevC feature servers. You guys remember those app servers? That's what it feels more like to me. That you have alternative sources of getting configuration separated from the distribution. So you can still get all the pieces, all the dependencies required to build that project. You don't have to get it from the distribution. So if you wanted to rebuild OpenAtrium with recipes, wouldn't then have to get all of the updates from it.
You don't look that old. You said you're old enough. And when you say open atrium, man, it's like, it brings back like flashbacks to open atrium. Oh my God, I haven't heard of open atrium in a while. Yeah, that's open atrium. Oh my God, I haven't heard open atrium in a long time.
It looks cool. It's polished.
Oh, I skipped one. This is an events recipe. So, well, it's popular. You want to put event management in your site. You can click on events, say boom, event recipe. It'll give you some example, some screenshots, description of what it is, module dependencies and things like that. And then you can go ahead and add that if you like. So things like that, easy page and theme building built into it. Just a new way of working with Drupal makes things much simpler. It's a developer's, I would say it's a developer's gift to site builders. Yeah. So yeah. I don't even know what this is. So this is a mock-up of what it could look like. So looks pretty slick. Best of layout builder, best of paragraphs, in browser theming, single directory components, all put together is your experience builder. Experience builder is still in the works, will be put together, hopefully will come together soon and will be in part of StarShot. So okay, so this is still work in progress. Some guiding principles, decisions. This is like a working team around it. Here's the main team. They just put together advisory board. Thank you very much. So they just put together an advisory board for it as well. Some people I know are on there, but it's a bigger team than this, but this is the core team. And then there's a monthly council. You can get involved. You can sign up for their email list. They'll send you invites. Council members, I think this is what they put together recently. And these are the different work tracks. You can sign up for these and contribute. What's in it for me? My favorite slide. Faster innovation cycle, better demos for everyone. Cleaner target personas, faster recipe adoption, easier hosting with a question mark. Focus on StarShot module, consolidation of contrib ecosystem, consolidation of most complete product will improve the experience for all, easier to contribute for. I like the better demos for all, easier hosting, and CMS starting point. So, better starting point for picking up Drupal and starting to work with it.
Is the plan still to have StarShot as an option in Excel process similar to standard?
Say it again.
I don't think so.
It's its own thing. Yeah, I think it'll be a separate download that'll come.
I know it's gonna have a separate QB slide. So ideally it's gonna be completely separate.
Because it'll have dependencies on contrib and stuff too.
Yeah. Everything you're saying is totally makes sense. At one point, the idea was to have that as an option during the initial
I see.
install.
I thought it was separate, but
No, I obviously to get things done, it becomes.
yeah,
Things that are going to be too difficult.
So, yeah, 99% of the users, you have the core many modules, who's starting with core only, just some developers. How to get involved, drupal.org/StarShot. And this is it. That's me. If you want to try out StarShot, you like that picture? You want to try out StarShot, you can go to
All that changes. Yeah. These are just
Recipes gives module developers the option. You can develop a generic module and then include a recipe that used to be how it initially installed.
Okay.
And we all have this, we build something for a client, and it's universally useful. We can strip out some of the things we actually included. Now you have the option of showing how something can be used. So the same building blocks repurposed in ways. And as the ecosystem is maturing, how we rate modules, how we decide what to put in modules. So hopefully we try to just widely commercial proprietary distributions of specific modules, not giving them part of
hopefully it has its own, hopefully it has its own namespace and on Drupal.org. I don't know what the
Well, they're general projects, so that's the difference. So we haven't talked a lot, like general projects became like popular with the decouple push, and then that kind of faded away. But there's a different project type of the module schemes and distributions that these fall into. The rules for those are different.
Okay, so if you guys want to try it now, you can go to drupalforge.org. There's a bunch of stuff here. StarShot is the first one. You can try out other stuff too. There's all the different Drupal distros, CVCRM, Backdrop, and so on. If you click on StarShot, you can read about it. If you want to contribute to StarShot, then you launch it and then you follow these instructions. Okay, so this allows you to contribute back to StarShot. And the way we did it is we took the StarShot main repo and we put a wrapper around it. So once you launch it, then you have to repoint your stuff so you can contribute back to that. So once you go to launch it, you fill out this form. You have to put in your Drupal.org username, and then you have to say include cloud dev environment. Okay? So if you include the cloud dev environment, then you get, I'll show you what you get. Then you get something like this. It builds it out on the main branch. This is behind the scenes. You'll get an email. You'll get an email like this. It says, visit your dev environment. This is your application URL. This is your login and password. You can click on the application URL. That's your StarShot up and running. I've already logged in, so you see the login thing. And then if you click here, that's your dev environment. Oh, I've already accepted it. So that's your dev environment. Looks like this. And it has VS Code built into it that you can use. I take it you guys have used VS Code? VS Code? Yes? No? Okay. So it has VS Code built into it, and then so you can edit your files from here. And so if you want to edit your files, you can edit your files. If you want to pull up a terminal, you can pull up a terminal. And This has Composer built into it, and it has Drush built into it. So you can start using it right away. Also, this is like total live environment. So if you say things like PHP info, and if you go here and you update it, so any changes you make in this VS Code will be immediately reflected. If I comment this out and I go back over here, I reload it, it goes back. So this is like a in-browser VS Code, which is live. It's tied to your application. And just like having a local dev environment, but in the cloud. So that's what you get. That's what you can use to mess around with, to play around with. So you can, as a developer, you can play around with it. And then this is what you have for your StarShot site. And then you can pretty much log in and do, you can go into Extend, for example, and you can see, I'm going to update. You can see it was checked. When I created this like a couple of hours ago, all these modules need to be updated. So I can go in here, you can say download and update the core and so on. So you can actually play with it as well. So, and you can add things like I've added the OpenAI ChatGPT integration to it and so on. So questions?
Within this environment, like where do you set up like GitHub and like where do you connect your code repository?
This one is, the GitHub is set up, I think this is running off of GitLab. So GitLab is set up over here. But you could integrate this with GitHub or Bitbucket or whatever. But this one, when you build something off of Drupal Forge, it has a read-only repository that it pulls from. If you build something on, for example, on DevPal from scratch, then you can connect your own repository to it. But if you're building something like a template, we call it template. So if you build a template, it just pulls it from a read-only repository. So you don't have to do anything. All right. Other questions? Anything else? Okay, thank you very much.